feel quite bad this morning.
Oh, good. It's because you're gay. Tyler,
Yes.
are you aware that you are a humma?
Oh, well, I've been informed twice already this morning now, so it must be true.
Yes. But if you were a homosexual, and
Yes.
I'm pointing it out,
That could mean an awful lot.
it means one of two things. It either means you're gay, or this is the Super Whiskey Bros podcast.
Why not both?
We haven't done a proper podcast in proper podcast format in quite some time.
No.
Yeah, last week we did have the podcast because our discussion became so good while we were playing video games.
Well, if you do say so yourself.
Yeah, like it was supposed to be a YouTube exclusive, and we weren't going to have anything on the podcast. But I was editing it. Well, I wasn't editing it. I was listening to it. By I was editing it, I mean I was cutting out the beginning and end.
Technically editing.
Well, it's because it had to come out at on Thursday morning, as soon as I woke up, and this was at like 9:45 p.m. on Wednesday.
Sure.
Because I'm not a procrastinator.
Absolutely not.
And I was listening to everything that we were talking about. I was like, man, this needs to be on that. If I had more time, I just would have cut out the discussion and put it on there, but I'm far too lazy for that.
Same though. It was a fine. I guess I wasn't paying that much attention to what we were saying.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think it was just we were just talking,
Mm-hmm.
and then like I think it was just because we kept getting mad about things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a good time. But so never has this question been more important than what it is right now. Tyler, what are you drinking?
You're gonna love this.
Mm-hmm.
I am drinking a Natural Light.
I don't know that. I'm guessing it's a gay beer.
It's not. It's by far the opposite. It's like the real redneck beer. It's like insanely cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, the reason why my mind went to gay is because light.
That's fair. And normally I'd be like, oh, it's one of those. No, this is the redneck beer. That's the only reason why I've ever even had one is because of my father-in-law, the farmer, cow wrangler guy, and this is all that he drinks because it's like very, very little money.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well, I've made myself an extremely bastardized old-fashioned.
Bastards.
If I find myself imbibing it in its entirety, I do have probably my very favorite beer on standby. And that
probably
would be
or definitely.
It probably is. And like this is one thing that I said, like, hey kids, if you like inexpensive beer.
Hey kids, don't drink beer, you're kids.
Hey adults,
that's illegal.
If you like inexpensive beer, don't waste your money on craft beer if the stuff you like is cheaper. Don't be that hipster that just says, I only drink craft beer. If you prefer it, get it. But if you don't, then don't worry about it. I said all that to say this. Probably my favorite beer is Samuel Adams Boston Lager.
I've never had that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would like it though.
I like my introduction to Samuel Adams was one of my favorite beers up until I tried this one, and that was the Samuel Adams Milk Stout. Then Samuel Adams also made an Oktoberfest, which I don't prefer. I like it a lot, but I don't prefer it to the other Oktoberfest beers that I've had. It's not a. There's two beers that are considered Oktoberfest. One is a Marzen, and the other, actually, is it a Dunkel? I don't remember what the other one is. And the Samuel Adams Oktoberfest is the one that's not a Marzen, and I prefer Marzen.
That's fair.
But yeah, so you may have had a kind like this. Samuel Adams Boston Lager is based on the concept of the Vienna Lager. If you ever had a Vienna Lager.
No. I also don't remember half the stuff that you remember, so I could have like, oh yeah, I've done all this stuff and forgotten most of it.
Mm-hmm. I'm also a fan of Skull Splitter.
Yeah, that's one that I was a huge. I think my tastes have changed over the past 5 years, which is pretty common, human beings. But man, that was my absolute favorite for a long time, and that's an aggressive beer. But I just don't like it anymore. Like I'll have one. Not terribly long ago, I had one, and I was just like, I don't like this.
See, I don't like it for like $3.50, $4. I don't like it for that. But then whenever you would get them, I'd drink one of yours.
Yeah, you're like, hey, as long as you've got 3 of these, I'll have one of them.
Like, I'm not spending that much money on one of these, but if you have it,
do it though.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but anyways, the reason why our what we're drinking is so important today is because we've prepared a drinking game. It's fantastic.
Which we have not done before.
We did a drinking game once.
Yeah, I know. That was the joke.
One other time when Brooke made us play the drinking game of every time someone says flashback, take a drink.
Why were we saying flashback so much? I don't remember.
So there were interims and interludes, and so there were some flashbacks in the story.
But we were using it incorrectly.
And we were calling everything that wasn't part of the main story a flashback.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
And so we were like, a flashback.
A flashback.
There's another reference that I guarantee no one will get.
No, goodness no. But it is great.
Okay.
I listened to that the other day. Keep going.
So this drinking game is based on a game created by Ben Davies, who some of you may know as one of the main actors in the movie, was it Courageous, I believe it was?
Flashback.
Yes. No, I think it was Courageous that Ben Davies was one of the main characters in. So you may know him as, well, you may know him as the creator of this game. You may know him as one of the stars of Courageous, or you may know him as Michael J. Knowles, producer on The Daily Wire. He could be any of those people, and he could be all three.
Or it could be none of them. Who knows?
But what this game is it goes as follows. We've prepared a series of statements that a person could agree with or disagree with. And I am going to give a statement, and then we're going to play the game, then Tyler's going to give a statement, and so on. And we alternate, that is, making the statements. And once I make a statement, I am going to guess, or once either of us makes a statement, one of us is going to guess what the other person is going to say, or each of us will guess, not one of us. Each of us will guess what the other will say. And then once we have both made our guess, the other person will confirm or deny the other person's guess. If So this game has been played so many different ways, and it actually made the creator of the game mad a tiny bit watching how screwed up the game kept getting when other people were playing it. But there are two ways of playing it. One is there's a way that involves points, and that's a separate thing, but I'm not going to mess with that. So there are two ways that we could play it, and I didn't talk about this when I suggested the game to you Thursday evening, so I'm going to just guess that. So I'm just going to put up both ways for you now, and you can decide right now, Tyler. The first way is when one of us gets it wrong, that is, our guess is incorrect, then we must take a drink. The second way of playing it is if one of us gets it wrong, we must take a drink, and if we both get it right, we both take a smaller drink.
Well, how would I get it wrong if it's my question?
Oh no! Well, because it goes like this: like you make a statement, you're like the statement you make is Rachel Maddow is an attractive woman. I would guess that you would say, even though you're the one that made that statement, I would guess that you say no, and you would guess that I say no, and we'd both be right.
And we'd both be right.
And so then we would both take a smaller drink. So if you get it wrong, you take a standard sip. If we both get it right, we each take a smaller sip.
So basically, let's say I would announce my question, and there's only one technically right answer because technically I had asked the question, but I get to guess what you think, and you also get to guess what I think.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And see, here's the thing. So you've given the question, but so you've given the question, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the answer to the statement you've given, the questions are usually worded as a statement, but the person who get it is able to disagree with it. So you may give a positive statement like, this is what is correct, and your answer may be no. Even though you've asked the statement and stated it as a positive, your answer could be no. Yeah.
Technically speaking, all of mine are statements.
Okay, yeah. Statements are a little bit better, I think, because it's easier to say yes or no to, or correct or incorrect, true or false, to a question phrased as a statement. But anyways, who should give the first statement?
I wouldn't mind giving the first one just because I only prepared one political statement. And I have one question.
Okay.
One. Just because it's something that I don't know, obviously been thinking about to some degree recently. Hold on. I had realized that we were talking and I didn't have my notes up. Okay. So this is kind of a two-parter, and you'll understand why. This one's by the way, this one's a question, not really a statement. Should Mar-a-Lago have been possible? And I of course mean what the raid, not building it. Obviously building it's perfectly fine.
Okay. So the question is like, should the raid have been possible? Like, should a raid on Mar-a-Lago have been possible, or should the Mar-a-Lago raid, as it happened, have been possible?
Aha! So you've hit the two-part question. Should a raid of a building, we're using Mar-a-Lago as an example, should that be a possibility?
Okay.
Specifically with, like, the FBI, which is kind of ridiculous to think about. But.
Yeah. So now turning it into a generic question, should it be possible for a police agency to raid a building an execution of a search warrant? Is that what is that where the question has devolved to?
Kind of, but you have to realize,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, search. So, should you be able to have a search warrant for a building? I mean, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is more, hey, and obviously, I'm me being a little more libertarian. This is the reason why I've been thinking about this.
Uh-huh.
Should a police agency be allowed to be like, you've clearly committed no violent crime. You clearly have committed no reprehensible crime in all of these
Mm-hmm.
ways.
Yeah.
But we're trying to find proof that you could have potentially incited other people to do some
Mm-hmm.
things. And then while we're in there, we're hoping we're going to find some other things that we could be mad about. Should the government be allowed to say, here, FBI, go raid this person's house against their will before they have time to hide things?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so so given the current phrasing of the question, I'm going to guess that your answer is no. What's your guess?
So
For me.
I phrase it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Truthfully, I'd phrase it that way, but I did it, so I would say, yeah, no, obviously, I do still think that should be possible.
Okay. Well, no. So we both give our guesses, and then we say if the other person's guess was right or not.
Yeah.
So my guess for you is no. What's your guess for me?
My guess for you is yes.
Okay.
And that's. Wait a minute. Hold on.
My guess for you is no. It should not be possible.
Okay. Yeah. Then you're wrong. I think it should be possible.
Okay.
But the two-parters, of course, should Mar-a-Lago specifically have been possible.
Mm. Okay. So my so my thing. So okay. So your guess for me was yes. You were also wrong. So we both drink.
Beautiful. I love it.
Okay. So it was your question. So you explain. You can explain yourself first.
I mean, I don't think it takes an awful lot of explaining. I think I think it's quite simply.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should be able, since it's a two-part. That's what I was going to say. I really want the two-part. Because, but I already know what you and I both think about should Mar-a-Lago specifically have been possible.
Obviously, yeah.
So this is a tricky one for me, because I look at how they did it and what they were doing and what they were looking for, and I'm like, this is absolutely stupid.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to the point of thinking, well, do I think that should you have the ability to just search a politician's house because you think that they might have something somewhere that could have been something where they could have explained something that at the end wouldn't even lead to a jailable offense, right?
Yeah.
I was like, that's extremely stupid. But then I was sitting there, I was like, well, you know what? On one hand, I do want the potential threat of that to always be looming, just because I want every politician to be in check somehow in every little facet. And I like the idea of the extra checks and balances to be like, yep, try some more crap like that, we're going to raid your freaking house. So I don't know. I think I'm on the fence about it still, but
yeah,
as a concept, sure. In this particular one, no, you idiots.
Okay, so here's my answer. Here's why I don't think that raids specifically like that should have been possible. It's because of this. I absolutely believe that raids should be possible while executing a search warrant. Obviously. And the fact that President Trump was a former president shouldn't make a difference. The reason why I am opposed to any similar raid like that, and why I don't think it should be possible, is because, for the same reason why I don't think swatting should be possible, and that is, I don't think a single anonymous tip is sufficient probable cause for a raid.
No, that's fair. Which is, again, that's for the swatting parallel. That's exactly why that's stupid. Hey, the order of this address, there's a bomb there. Oh, let's break down the door and make them pay for all the damages.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. And so I think that oh yeah, and also here's another thing too. The whole purpose of a search warrant. Do you know what? So a search warrant isn't the official name of that document. Do you know what the official name of that document is?
Not in particular.
It's an affidavit of probable cause. That means you're all but certain that that stuff is there. Which means that I think if you show up, if you take the time to get the judge to sign off, agree there is probable cause, and you go to the stuff and you were wrong, I think that the police department should be not necessarily in court, but as far as within policy, should be held liable for any and all damages and stuff like that. Obviously,
Oh, for sure.
yeah, that's absolutely the case. I also believe that there's something that happens, and the only good thing that the UK does that we don't, well, they used to have a much more stronger limits on abortion than we do ever up and until Dobbs, but that was another good thing they did that we didn't. But the only good thing that the UK does that we don't, and we should do this, and that is this. So if you go to a criminal trial, even if you're found not guilty, it's still going to ruin your life because you're still held liable for all the court cost. In the UK, if you're found not guilty, then that means it was a trial that should not have happened, and the state covers the court costs. That should absolutely be the case everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. My question. Fortnite is actually a good game when you get past all the annoying surface issues and the community.
I guess it depends on what we mean. Because, is it good? Depends on what you mean by surface issues. Because if by surface issues you mean the fact that you're building your entire house while you're trying to shoot someone, I mean, then that's the majority of the freaking game.
Yeah, surface issues would be the. So I tried to word it in a way that would take us that would be as less wordy as possible, and I have to explain, so it's going to become wordy again. When you get past all the, the stupid kids that are playing, so I included the community in there at the last minute, but the stupid kids that are playing, the fact that everything there's everything out there now as being advertised as Fortnite, and that makes the game annoying to see it plugged everywhere.
Right.
When you see the all the stuff that they're putting in it, like they're trying to put Elden Ring stuff in there. They had Star Wars, and they had they had the Avengers,
John
and
Wick,
they're just pushing all this stuff through, and all the battle passes, and it's all this stuff that and it's now that you have these people. These are it's you would lump yourself in the crowd of, this is a good game, but dang, it sucks so bad. That's the statement.
I'm more struggling with what I think your answer is, because I already know my answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think you might have fun with it.
Mm.
I think you might still enjoy it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. For you, my guess is still no.
I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I played it day one. Well, you know what I mean by day one. One or week one or whatever.
Yeah.
When
Early on.
Shot.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was just angry.
Mm-hmm.
I hate it. I was like, this is this is going to overtake PUBG. I hate my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I am. My first time playing Fortnite, it had already become a little popular, but not nearly to the point that it is now. So there's no way that I could have said, I hate this game because it's popular. I just hated it. The answer was no. If you said yes, you got it wrong. Yeah.
That's fair. It was it's just a terrible game.
Yeah. I'm sure, I know there are a lot of people that love it, and to each his own, but man, I don't like it.
I have friends who are grown adults that play that game like it's normal. I'm like, please just stop.
Well, see, here's the thing. I'm a married man, and I have 1.5 children.
1.5.
It's very obvious to that I have engaged in
intercourse.
I have, which precludes me from playing Fortnite.
Yeah, it'd be like that.
That's one of my favorite words. I'm always happy whenever I get to use it.
Precludes?
Preclude, yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this one. Okay, so I'm officially just video game questions now. I'm over. Um, I don't want to do the political ones for me, just because I felt like we were going to have too many of the same answers, and I managed to even that one that I thought at first might be a little bit thrown for a loop. It wasn't. I'm rambling on why. The question is, or the statement is, Halo, the original Halo,
Mhm.
was the most influential shooter ever.
Okay.
No, I didn't say the best.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you would say yes.
You think I would say yes?
I think you would say yes.
Okay.
I'll give my reason why I thought so. Well, once you give your guess for me, I'll give my reason why I think you say yes before we confirm or deny.
You don't think that Halo is the most influential shooter?
Okay. Here's why I said you would say yes, and it's because the game that put the style of modern shooters on the map, that is, move left stick, aim right stick, was kind of an unheard of game that wasn't very popular on the PS1. Then when Halo came out, it completely flipped shooters on their head, and every modern doesn't really follow the control scheme. Halo had a garbage control scheme.
Yes.
And it was either, I don't know who did it first, the first Call of Duty or the first Medal of Honor that kind of perfected that control scheme, but no one really remembers the first Call of Duty or the first Medal of Honor.
No.
And so, for that reason, I think you would say that, given how the modern shooter is, you would say that Halo is the most influential shooter.
You're wrong for all the wrong reasons, or
Mm-hmm.
you're right for all the wrong reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So Halo is the most influential shooter in my opinion, but not because of any of that. It's because of the system that it used for the way that it decided you could or couldn't run, the regenerative health system, which for Halo was a shield, if you remember
Mm-hmm.
properly.
Yep.
But more specifically,
Mm-hmm.
it was the very first game that was a shooter that adopted the triangle Y whatever swap two weapon system. So every other game would you'd have 16 guns and you'd have to do a scroll wheel, which a lot of games still do a scroll wheel, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But for the fast paced, the real fast paced FPS,
Mm-hmm.
Halo was the most influential one in the beginning. The runner up very very closely is Modern Warfare, which is Call of Duty 4,
Mm-hmm.
because it
Yeah.
adopted the system of the updates, how you were leveling, the perk
Mm-hmm.
systems. It perfected the way you played and the way
Mm-hmm.
you not just the gameplay, but the way you could play. Absolutely everyone was using the noob tube, but then they were using your perk that allowed you to kill a secondary
Mm-hmm.
swap to a secondary class to reload all your grenades and just make kids angry. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was revolutionary in a different way. I just think Halo was the more important evolutionary way.
Okay. So before I say if you got it right or wrong, reread me the exact question, the question exactly as written.
The question exactly
Mm-hmm.
as written
Mm-hmm.
is Halo was the most influential shooter of all time.
Okay. And your guess was no?
Yeah, no.
Okay, you got it right.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know you don't think that. That's fine.
Yeah. I think Doom. I think Doom was the most influential shooter of all time.
I don't think it was the most influential. I think it was the first.
Therefore.
And that's fair. But I
Yeah.
mean, if all shooters still looked like Doom, everyone would have quit playing shooters a long time ago.
Well, would they have? And here's why I say that. If we never invented the car, of course we'd still be riding horses. But Henry Ford made the statement of, if I had asked the people what they wanted, they'd have said better horses. If we never knew that they could have become better, we never would have known they'd become better, and we still have fun with them. But so the reason why I wanted you to rephrase the exact question, because if you said Halo has influenced modern shooters more than anything else, then the answer, of course, would have been yes. Halo was the first modern, well, not the first, but the first one no one had, I can't think of what it's called, and neither can you. So that answers the question. Halo is the most influential modern shooter. So if you had said modern shooter, absolutely the answer would have to be yes.
By the way, you're talking about PS1 games.
Yeah.
You're not talking about
I can't think of the name of it. It was the first shooter ever that you walked with the left stick and moved with the right stick, and that was the most revolutionary change. And everybody hated it at the time because of that. And it was the most revolutionary change to shooters because that made the difference. They started making shooters like that, but because everyone hated that game for that reason, and no one really cared. Halo was, I think, the first popular game to do that, and so therefore I would give Halo the most influential modern shooter. Can't think of the name of the PS1 game.
It was the one where you're kind of like relatively spy and you had the taser you could fry someone to death with.
No. That was. Oh dang! I can't think of that game. That game was fantastic, but no, that game was actually that game was older than this other PS1 game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that game was. But that game was a lot of fun, though. Because it didn't have the true, aiming style. Like, if you're going to aim with the right stick, you actually had to go into aiming mode. And you couldn't move much while doing it, if at all. Fair. Yeah, so no, that was it. Yeah, so you did aim. Actually, you may have even aimed with the left stick, come to think of it. Because that game may have been made before the sticks came out. So you had to, because you went into aiming mode, and then you could precision aim your weapon. But I think everything was on with the left stick.
Could be, but it is your turn.
Okay. Going fully Dutch in a relationship, that is, split the work, split the bills, split the housework, is a fair, even preferable kind of relationship. And that is for a marital style relationship, be it marriage or be it civil union, not just two dudes hanging out.
Not just two dudes hanging out.
Yeah.
Yes to the first part of your ending statement, no to the last half of the ending statement. Fair, yes. Preferable, no.
Mm-hmm.
And fair, and even fair is up to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. I don't think you think that. I think. Are you trying? That depends. Are you trying to be objective and say, well, this could possibly, or are you saying here's the real data that we've actually done and the studies we've actually done, and I think that this is the case?
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Change the is a fair, even preferable kind of relationship. Just make the blanket statement. Doing it that way is good. There.
Okay, no.
And I would expect. So if we're including just your average civil union, boyfriend girlfriend living together, two homosexual men, whatever. If we're including that kind of civil union, then all bets are off, and you could say yes, that's all right. But if we're strictly but for my guess though, I'm not going to go so broad with it, and I'm going to strictly keep it to so I said a marital type relationship. I'm assuming it is a marriage, and so I'm going to say you also say no.
Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No.
Okay, we both got it right. Tiny drink.
Tiny drink.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep making the sounds. I'm going to get my microphone really close to my mouth. Hold on.
Oh, we need a second tiny drink because we both got the last question right.
Okay.
Okay, you're up.
I hope that sound came across on the microphone properly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think if I want, because we're burning through time so much, I don't think we're going to use all the questions, so I'm trying to pick which ones I actually like more.
Mm-hmm.
Because after I started rolling, I was like, man, what about this one? Oh, here's a good one.
Yeah, I'm just erasing my questions off my notes as I go through them, so I always know which ones I've used.
Oh, I know which ones I've used.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know which ones I want to do now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got two that I absolutely have to ask, or three that I absolutely have to get through.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the first one.
Yeah.
the Soulsborne games, just in general,
Mm-hmm.
will be broad. Should have an easy mode.
Mm.
And I'm going to define an easy mode very, very quickly and briefly.
Mm-hmm.
It would be very, or some things that would be simple. No runes / souls / blood echoes, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
are lost upon death. You do not permanently lose them.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be a mode in which you would have it would just be one other mode. It doesn't have to be 12, but it would be like any other game's easy mode. It would be, the AI would be more simple.
Mm-hmm.
The AI would be less aggressive, and it would be simpler to achieve victory over bosses.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have standard mode, and then you have easy mode, and that should be an option.
Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna guess you're gonna say no.
Okay.
Hmm?
I'm going to guess that you would say yes.
Hmm.
But that's just a guess.
Okay. So you asked the question, you'd confirm or deny for me first. Am I right or wrong?
Oh no, you're wrong.
I'm wrong. You would say yes?
Especially when it comes down to the newest one with something like the big open world concept. I really do think it would be interesting to see, because you know me, I'm a massive fan of the first time I pick up a game, the easiest mode possible. I want to experience everything that's happening.
Yeah.
And I really, your argument is going to be that the experience of this game is the difficulty, and I will agree with you.
Yeah.
But I think it would be interesting. I would never petition for it. I'd never write that sentence on a board anywhere or try to make them do it. But I do think it would be interesting.
Okay. So I was wrong. I took a drink. What was your guess for me?
Oh, I thought that you would also. I thought you would have the same opinion as me. It was just a guess, though.
Okay.
We never talked about it.
Yeah. So my official answer to a Soulsborne easy mode is no.
Your official answer.
Yeah. My unofficial answer is fuck off.
And that's fair.
Yeah. No. There's very specific reasons for it. Obviously. The first reason is this is the bigger reason. The first reason is because Miyazaki has made it clear that he has no interest in easy mode, and I'm a firm believer in making the game that you want to make as a publisher. So therefore, right off the bat, I think it shouldn't have one, because the game designer says he doesn't want one. Now, if you make a garbage game and that's your dream game that you made is garbage, then I reserve the right not to play it, but I am absolutely for your right to make that game that you wanted to make. The second reason is that the Souls games aren't actually hard. Right? It's not like there's a specific difficulty to them. It's all about learning the patterns and getting that. So there's no real way to make it easier without breaking the game, because what is it that gives us this illusion of difficulty? And that is the move sets of the bosses or this, and you can't experience the full game if you change that. Like if you slowed down the boss's movements and made them easier to dodge, then that would screw up the timing that they have set up with that, and it would change from this illusion of difficulty to you're not even really playing a game. They would either have to remove, water down the move set or change the timing, or and all that. They'd be making, instead of saying the typical way of doing an easy mode is the enemies are you change the enemies to being like this. They do less damage, have less health, whatever, or there's fewer of them, less aggressive, whatever. And that would. And that isn't possible with a Souls game, that specific way of making it easy mode, because of how the games are set up. So you'd have to be making one balanced game that's difficult, and then changing everything and then rebalancing it to make it easier. You'd effectively be writing 2 entire games just to put an easy mode in Dark Souls, and that's ridiculous.
I think it's ridiculous to expect. I think it's ridiculous to assume that they should. And I agree with everything you're saying. But I will stand by my statement. I think it would be incredibly interesting to see what the difference would be.
Okay, so I thought the question was they should have an easy mode. And so my reasons why it's ridiculous why it would be in there, but it shouldn't. Now, is the question is it okay if it has an easy mode?
No. It
Okay.
should they. I'll leave it with should they.
Okay.
Yeah, I do think, and I don't think it's for all the reasons that people say it, because obviously you hear everyone going like, well, it should be more accessible. Well, it should make it easy so I should be able to play the game. Blah, 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 something, don't care. What I'm getting at is I love easy modes. I think that there's something very different about experiencing a game in a less stressful manner. And I know you don't feel stress, like as a concept. So I understand why you're like, what is he talking about? But like, this is going to be. We should probably quit talking about this almost immediately, because there's going to be this could be the entire conversation if we dive into it. But this game is one of the more stressful games that exists. It is extremely stressful. And having a version of it that greatly reduces that stress and allows you to play it in a more, okay, well, let's see if we can actually figure out the story. Let's see if we can actually go and do this thing. Let's go. I think it would be an experience that would be worth having.
Yeah, no, I can see that. I still go into because it's so ridiculous with these games to do that. Should they do it? The answer is to me is obviously no. I don't have a problem with it being done, and if it was there, that could be all right. But it's like saying, should every taco place also serve fried chicken? It would be neat if it did. I mean, that's not what they make. They don't make fried chicken, but it'd be all right if they did. And they said, hey, if you had fried chicken here, that'd be cool. I'd get your fried chicken every once in a while. But I don't think I should. Yeah, I get it. But they I don't think that you should. I don't think I should. But I wouldn't say the taco places should serve fried chicken. Yeah, but yeah.
Okay.
Hey, so I think we can go through all of our questions, and if it winds up being an extra long day, up to an hour and a half, we can just have a long episode, and anything longer than that, we can just split it up into two. If you're fine with that.
Oh,
okay. All right, my next question. So I'm just going to go down my list of questions then, and not worry about picking and choosing. My next question is this. So a lot of my gaming takes, I went to a thing of gaming hot takes. Some I may have agreed with, some I may not have agreed with, but I just went to see what other people were saying as gaming hot takes.
Sean did the hot takes.
Here we go. Because I want something that someone either is going to say, yeah, that's right, or violently disagree with.
Yes.
Okay.
Mostly than violently disagree.
Yeah. Doom peaked with Doom 2.
No.
And it's gone slowly downhill since then, and Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal are hardly worth playing.
No, my goodness. Why would you even say that?
Yeah, do we even have to guess? That's so garbage.
2016 is one of the greatest games of all time.
Yeah, we both take a small sip for both being right.
Phew. That was a spicy take from somebody.
Yeah. Oh, also, you need a full drink for getting the last one wrong.
Oh, I already got it.
Okay.
I already got it.
Okay.
I laughed as I was taking the drink, but I didn't need the drink. At least me. Okay.
Yep.
Hold on, I gotta delete my... I forgot to delete... I'm doing them bouncing in between them, so I have to delete my Dark Souls. That's an easy mode. Again, I'm all video games now. Okay. We'll say the controller at launch, just in case there was a development of the controller. I don't remember. The PlayStation 2 launch controller was the most perfect console controller ever.
I have a similar question to that. Yeah, it's weird, but it's different enough that I can
So ask it.
yeah, that I can. No, I won't be able to still ask it if depending on how this one goes. Okay, so I'm gonna guess you're gonna say no. PlayStation 2 launch controller was the most perfect controller. No.
It is the most perfect thing of all time.
So what's your guess for me?
I think you definitely think that.
Think that it is the most perfect
That it
PlayStation
is the
2?
most perfect controller because you
Okay.
hate the PS4 and you didn't really like the PS3,
Mhm.
and you would rather throw an Xbox controller for the most part.
Okay. The PlayStation controller that I don't like is the PlayStation 5 controller. It's shaped weird. My only
Well, you don't
complaint.
like that, but you haven't liked any of the other ones. You're like, this PlayStation 3 is so big and chunky.
No. It was the Xbox controller. It was too big and chunky. No, so I'm being serious. The only problem I ever had with the PlayStation 3 controller, and let's be face it.
Let's be face.
Let's be face it. So the only difference is so you have the Generation 2 PS1 controller with the sticks or the analog sticks, the whatever, and then the PS1 controller with the sticks, the PS2 controller, and the PS3 controller. The only difference between those three controllers is that the PS3 controller was wireless. And so
Okay, let me rephrase between PS2. Let me give it a little bit. You're right about the PS2 and the PS3 being essentially identical. So let me say this: there was a difference between the PS1 launch controller and the PS2 launch controller.
Yes, the launch controllers, yes. But once the PS1 controller got sticks.
Yeah, but I did specify launch.
Yes, you did. So you said it was, but did you say it was the best launch controller or it was the best controller?
Yes,
okay.
I'll stand by my reasoning of why, because you mentioned being the difference between PS2 and PS3 being wireless. I will clarify, but I will still stand by it just in case that was getting lost there. We are talking launch controllers.
Okay. I wouldn't differentiate the PS2 and PS3. I wouldn't. One being wireless doesn't make a difference to me. That's because I'm thinking when I think it's a good controller, how it fits in my hand, how the buttons work. So I'm not concerned with the difference between PS2 and PS3.
Okay.
So I said that you would say no. You said I would say yes. I'm going to assume we're both wrong. My reason for why PS2 was not the best launch controller, that's this. My only complaint with the older PS controllers was my hands are just the tiniest bit too big for them, and so my hands always go numb holding them for a extended period of time. The PS there was another difference between PS3 and PS2, and that is the progressive triggers. It was just buttons on PS2, and it was actual triggers on PS3, and you could do it progressively. But for the PS4, all it did was just kind of beef it up just a little bit, and that fits in my hand so much better. So for me personally, the PS4 is the best launch controller.
Yeah, I love. You're absolutely right that the PS2 controller is notably smaller than the PS4 controller. I mean, that's not up for debate. It's smaller. There's something, and I don't understand how my hands don't go numb and yours do, because my hands, if anything, are a tiny bit bigger than yours.
So your overall hand size is bigger than mine, but I have the curse of big palm, short fingers.
Big palm, short fingers. I do too, but not quite as bad as you. Well, yeah, Grayson. I love the PS2 controller. There's something so amazing about picking one up. I'm just like, I remember this.
Yeah. Oh, just so you know, if you put heel, so here's how bad mine is. If you put the heel of my hand to the heel of Brooke's hand, I am my overall hand size from heel to fingertip is about a full inch bigger than hers. If you line up base of the finger to base of the finger, her fingers are longer than mine.
That is funny.
So that's how bad my hand shape is. So I need something like that. Actually, to the extent that if it wasn't for I don't like the stick placement, I will always prefer the stick placement of PlayStation. If it wasn't for the stick placement, I actually would prefer the Xbox One controller.
Well, I think we can both agree the only controller that's absolutely garbage is the N64.
Oh yeah. It's the only controller with a penis.
Exactly. It's such a. It's. I don't understand. Anyone who stands by that design confuses me. I
Mhm.
don't get it.
Mhm.
But whatever. Continuing on.
No,
Onwards
continuing
and
on.
upwards. Your turn.
Okay. My fourth question is, this isn't really political, but it's a statement, all right. The phrasing of Genesis 1 does in fact allow room for one to believe the day age theory.
Okay. So here's the thing. Are you asking? Are you saying that you believe in the potential for day age theory, or are you? Since I obviously know what you believe, are you saying, you know what? I concur that it has the potential to leave an opening for sounding like it could be day age theory. Because you don't believe in day age
No,
theory.
obviously not. No, my statement is the way it is phrased could allow one to believe that.
You're leaving it so wide open, it has to be yes. Because, I mean, like, that's such a wide open thing, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're talking about Genesis 1 1. Genesis 1, the chapter, or Genesis 1 1?
Genesis 1, the whole chapter.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then hold on a second. Because I was thinking
Yeah.
literally the
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
verse. I'm
Not
like, are they
Genesis 1
communicating?
1, Genesis 1. The
So Genesis 1 1 could have meant anything.
Yeah. Well, we can only mean one thing, but you know.
No, I mean, like, it could have been as far as, like, time frame. It
Yeah.
could have been anything.
Yeah. In the beginning, what's that mean?
The start of it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the
And when you
way
get to the end,
yeah.
stop.
In Genesis 1, the creation story, the way it is phrased does allow or could allow one to believe that. It allows room for that belief.
I think it does. I really do think it does. I think that you could read this
Then my
as
guess
an
for you is
educated.
yes.
Yeah. But no, that's the thing. You can call it either way. I do think that's what you're thinking.
Okay.
Because if you read this, I do think, because I'm more empathetic than you are,
Mm-hmm.
I do think someone who I look at and say that person is objectively intelligent,
Mm-hmm.
they could read this and say, with everything that I
Mm-hmm.
think and know, and reading this, putting those two things together, yes,
Mm-hmm.
do think that someone could absolutely. I do think that's the case, and I'd like to think that you think the same thing. Just because sometimes I like to think that you're empathetic, but I don't think that you are. So my official guess is no.
Your official guess is no because you don't think I'm empathetic and does not allow room for that.
Because you have no empathy.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right, but for a different reason. It's not because of a lack of empathy. It's because the reason why I worded the question that way is because specifically the phrasing of it doesn't allow for that. The reason why people say, "Oh, that could be the case," is because it said this was the first day, this was the second day, and that word "day" just means a span of time. So therefore, they said, "Well, it could be any span of time." Technically true if all you isolated the word "day," but it always mentions, and every time says, "And the evening and the morning were the first day, and the evening and the morning were the second day." And when it's phrased like that, it always means individual specific days. Look, anytime you look through anything that comes from Hebrew, when you say the evening and the morning, it always refers to a single day, not a generic span of time, even though that word day can be translated as a span of time. And so, yeah, no, the phrasing doesn't, the way it's worded specifically doesn't allow for it. The only thing that it could allow for, I'm not saying it doesn't allow for ancient Earth, because it's typically assumed that the Garden of Eden existed for about 150 to 200 years, depending on what, and that also depends on whether you believe that the age of Adam, how old Adam was, started when he was created, or if he started calculating age after the fall. And so that is another thing to take into consideration. And so that does leave the possibility for, millions or billions of years to have existed in the Garden of Eden. But it doesn't allow for the 6 days to be anything but 6 days.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I
Yeah.
do genuinely believe that someone could read that and still think that this is the case.
Oh, I no no. I didn't say a person couldn't read that and think it. I said it doesn't allow room for that. There's a difference.
Either way.
Either way. But yeah, you got it right because you said no.
Yes.
And you told me your answer before I guessed, so I cheated.
Well, I mean, like I had to think my way through that one out loud.
Uh-huh. Okay, your question. Which means we both got right though, so time drink.
Okay. I have a feeling that I'm soon to be grabbing a child. I thought I heard a child
I did
loudly make a noise.
but the bedroom light is on, so I'm assuming Brooke is playing Fallout in there.
Ooh, oh, fun. I feel like crap.
Oh, yay.
I know I've already
Wait.
said that. I'll quit saying it, but
Okay. I thought I felt like crap, but I felt like fart, so.
Okay. Here's one that you and I might end up with very different opinions on.
Mhm.
Developers should push games to meet original estimated launch dates.
That's a good question. Okay. My guess for you. So you've given me an opinion on this before, and so I'm based on the opinion that you've given me. Your opinion could have changed, but based on the opinion you've given me before, my guess for you is yes, they should.
You don't believe that. You would rather have a polished game, especially if it's something you're looking forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And I'll say out loud,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have a polished game.
Uh-huh.
I would.
Yeah.
But from someone who's had to be a professional for a very long time,
Mm-hmm.
where estimated dates of when I say something's going to be out
Mm-hmm.
are done in this case,
Uh-huh.
that must be done when I do what I am doing. It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
So it angers me when people are just like, oh, you know what, it took longer than I thought. Yeah, so does everything, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
You giant anus.
Yeah.
So I immediately get angry and go, no, release it now, and then fix it as you go. That's your fault.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
but,
yeah.
see, but I'd rather have a good experience. I'd rather wait for a good experience as far as video games go. There's some things you can't do that with, but for video games, I'll wait for a good experience.
And that's extremely fair. And what I'm saying is technically unfair. I think it just comes from a place of bitterness.
Yeah. No, I get it because you've made that because you have made that exact statement before. No, go ahead and release it on the release day, but release it broken, and then just give us a patch later. And I remember even at that time I was like, well, that sounds kind of dumb.
Yeah,
you said that.
It doesn't. I really don't think that it's dumb though. I mean, it's like, look, you told us this is when we gave you money for this product.
Yeah. Well, see, I didn't. I don't pre-order games anymore, so.
But that is the concept, right?
Yeah.
That is the concept. They have money.
But yeah.
Just because that they said, we're going to make this thing. And lots of people said, hey, we would like to buy that thing if you make it. And they're like, you know what? We're going to go ahead and take your money for that now as good faith that we're going to have this game done
on a specific date.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am... I actually still remember when you gave me this opinion first. This was in 2015, and it was surrounding the delayed release of The Witcher 3.
Witcher 3 was very delayed.
But yeah, yeah, no, I completely get that. It worked out for me though because I didn't have a PS4 until September of 2015
until the delayed launch.
Yeah, and so it worked out for me just fine. Or was it 20? No, it was 2014. Never mind. It was 2014 that I got my PS3. Because it was
either way.
Yeah, it was when Destiny came out. And hey, Xbox users, I got my PS3 in 2014, and I'm still in the same one.
LOL.
I've had this PS3 for a month shy of 8 years now. So sorry Xbox people.
I have my PS3. I don't know if I don't think it's my original one because I think I've had to go through a couple just from getting rid of them, but never broken. But the one that I used for the years and years and years, and then gave to Hannah, and then now
I'm an idiot.
You, and now I have it back.
I'm an idiot. I kept saying PS3. It's PS4. I have
Oh,
PS.
yeah, same PS4.
I've had the same PS4 since 2014.
And yes, you were also an idiot.
Yeah, I've only owned one PS3. The PS3 that you and I shared broke, and we had to replace it. But we replaced it with we got a warranty for it, and the warranty replaced it. And then, but the first PS3 that I have it somewhere, I don't know where it is, but it's the first PS3 that I ever owned, and I still have it. I personally owned myself.
Sean personally owns himself.
Okay, so here's the statement. So this is worded kind of funkily, so you'll have to think about it before you realize exactly what the thing is. So when I'm saying this, you're guessing as if you were the one. Okay, so it was like you're not. So you're guessing for yourself, and I'm guessing. Or when you make when I make the statement, on here. So it's as if I'm asking the question, and then when you guess for me, and when I guess for you, it's as if you're asking the question. Okay, so I'll make the statement, and then I'll give the explanation here. So here's a statement. My brother engages with my personal content regularly. Okay, so now when I make my guess, so like when I guess for you, I'm going to guess, yes, you think that I engage with your personal content.
That's such an odd question.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is going to end up being a trick question.
Mm-hmm.
So
your thing is
regularly.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, like, if a person, for me, regularly is engages with greater than half of the content.
Oh.
Yeah, so I think you think that I do that with you.
So that's not really fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't have an excessive amount of content, and it would not be difficult to have engaged with half.
Well, let me rephrase this to when my brother, or when I put out content, my brother will engage with that content half of the time when I put it out. There we go.
Okay, then yes.
Yes, I think you do that.
I don't know. I don't know that you think.
Mm-hmm.
I know that I do. Half. I would say half.
Yeah. So you gave an answer versus a guess, but that's fine. It was right. I also think that. So.
I also think that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you I don't do it enough to where like you could accidentally interact with half of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, whoops! I've interacted with half of his content again.
Heck, I made almost half of your content.
Of this content specifically, yes. Okay, let's make it more specific then. Of my content that you had nothing to do with, do you still think that's the case?
So it depends on how much. So like, just the music that you've made for people. So the your musical content is, as far as that goes. I mean, like, I've engaged with. I think you only put on one concert that I wasn't there for, because I had to work. I think that anytime
with one band, yes. I've also been in two others since then that were way more prolifically playing that you never saw at all.
I don't remember not showing up to a Rolesser.
I've been out of state like a dozen times with that band.
Oh, so I didn't know about that. I have
we won't count that. We won't count that. We will not count that as content. I do not count that.
Yeah, well, because it's recap of written content. I have
yes.
Yeah, I did go through the Rolesser CDs. I went through the Embers Burn CDs. Yeah, so Seven Even and Embers Burn were the same band, so I can't differentiate those. Sovereign Samurai wasn't a band. So I mean, I did go through, and then obviously your personal work. So I can't count it as your content when you're just publishing somebody else's stuff. When you're making music for other people, that will count as content. And as far as I know, I don't know because you didn't publish it, most of it. So the only stuff I know about was the stuff that you made for like people that I was, people I was around, and I've heard a majority of that. But if someone randomly came to you and said, "Hey, I'd like to commission a piece of music," and you made it and they paid you and you went on your merry way, you didn't publish it, so I had no way of knowing that was content that you had made. So of content that you made that I could possibly have known about, yeah, I've engaged with more than half of it.
You definitely have.
Yeah.
But and there actually there is a fair bit of stuff that I created that I did not publish that was for other people. But even if you had not heard a fraction of it, like if you'd heard none of it at all, you still would have been engaged with more than half of everything that I've done. So it's still fair. That was a very strange question.
Yeah, I thought it would be funny.
It was funny. Okay. I think I've got some more. These are all hot takes. Yeah, these are all hot takes at this point.
Can I see Daddy real quick?